In the year 1173, a kingdom was torn apart by a son's betrayal. Richard, the Duke of Aquitaine, joined his brothers in open rebellion against their father, Henry II of England. The revolt, fueled by resentment and political ambition, shook the Angevin Empire to its core. But this was just the beginning of Richard's journey. A warrior, a crusader, and a king, Richard the Lionheart would go on to carve his name into history through his legendary military prowess and his relentless pursuit of glory. Richard was born on the 8th of September, 1157, in Oxford, England, as the third son of Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine. Unlike his elder brother, Henry the Young King, who was raised to be a king in name, Richard was bred for war. From an early age, he showed remarkable skill in combat, chivalry, and strategy, largely influenced by his mother Eleanor, a powerful ruler in her own right. As the Duke of Aquitaine from the age of 11, Richard was responsible for a vast and unruly territory in southwestern France. Here, he honed his military skills, suppressing rebellions and securing his rule over a region known for its turbulent politics. But despite his loyalty to his mother and his ambitions as a ruler, Richard's relationship with his father would always be one of conflict. In 1173, Richard joined his brothers Henry the Young King and Geoffrey of Brittany in rebellion against their father. The revolt was largely orchestrated by Eleanor of Aquitaine, who sought to limit Henry II's control over her lands. Richard, still a teenager, proved himself in battle, leading armies across Aquitaine. However, the rebellion ultimately failed. Henry II crushed the revolt, and Richard was forced to beg for forgiveness. As part of his punishment, he had to swear fealty to his father, though his ambition remained unchecked. Richard's fortunes changed in 1183 when his elder brother, Henry the Young King, died of dysentery. This made Richard the heir to the English throne, but tensions between Richard and Henry II continued. At one point, Richard even allied with Philip II of France, Henry II's greatest rival. In 1189, after years of strife, Henry II fell seriously ill. Betrayed by his own son, John siding with Richard, the aging king died at Chinon Castle, leaving the throne to Richard. While Richard was consolidating power in England and France, a momentous event shook Christendom: the fall of Jerusalem to the greatest Muslim leader, Saladin, in 1187. Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, had united the Muslim world and launched a massive campaign against the Crusader states. His decisive victory at the Battle of Hattin on July 4, 1187, crushed the Christian armies and led to the capture of the Holy City. The loss of Jerusalem was a disaster for Europe, triggering urgent calls for a new crusade. Pope Gregory VIII issued the papal bull Audita Tremendi, calling on Christian rulers to reclaim the city. Richard, deeply influenced by the crusading ideal and eager to prove himself as Christendom's greatest warrior, vowed to take up the cross. With England's treasury filled, Richard embarked on the Third Crusade alongside Philip II of France and Frederick Barbarossa of the Holy Roman Empire. Their goal: reclaim Jerusalem from Saladin. Richard's journey was anything but smooth. After a fierce winter storm wrecked his fleet near Cyprus, he conquered the island in 1191, securing a vital supply base for the crusade. Soon after, Richard reached the Holy Land. Richard played a key role in the capture of Acre, the most important city held by Saladin. After a long siege, the city fell, but tensions arose among the Crusaders. Richard executed 2,700 Muslim prisoners, sending a clear message to Saladin. On 7th September 1191, Richard led his forces into battle against Saladin at Arsuf. Despite Saladin's relentless attacks, Richard's disciplined army held firm, securing a decisive victory. Despite his victories, Richard realized that capturing Jerusalem was nearly impossible. The Crusaders lacked the resources to hold the city, even if they took it. In 1292, Richard and Saladin agreed to a truce, allowing Christian pilgrims to visit Jerusalem freely. Though he had not recaptured the city, Richard's bravery earned him the respect of both his allies and his enemies. On his return journey, Richard was shipwrecked and forced to travel through Europe in disguise. Unfortunately, he was recognized and captured near Vienna by Duke Leopold of Austria, whom Richard had insulted during the Crusade. Leopold handed him over to Holy Roman Emperor Henry VI, who demanded an enormous ransom of 150,000 marks, nearly 3 times England's annual income. Richard's mother, Eleanor, worked tirelessly to raise the money, and after 15 months in captivity, he was finally released in 1194. Despite his long absence, Richard's authority in England remained strong, but he had little interest in ruling. His true passion was war. Soon after his return, he resumed his conflict with Philip II of France, who had taken advantage of Richard's imprisonment to seize Angevin lands. For the next 5 years, Richard waged war against Philip. Reclaiming much of what had been lost, he built Château Gaillard, an advanced fortress in Normandy, to protect his territories. His military skill kept France at bay, but fate would soon catch up with him. In March 1199, while besieging the small castle of Chalus-Chabrol in France, Richard was struck by a crossbow bolt. The wound became infected, and on the 6th of April 1199, he died at the age of 41. His body was buried at Fontevraud Abbey, alongside his father Henry II and mother Eleanor of Aquitaine. His death marked the end of an era. Richard had spent only 6 months of his decade-long reign in England, yet he became one of the most celebrated kings in English history. Richard was succeeded by his younger brother John, whose troubled reign would lead to the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215, a document that would lay the foundations for constitutional government in England.